All right. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here. My name is Kevin Gregg. Welcome to the Working Creatives podcast. Sometimes this is why you do stuff, why you test beforehand. It's okay, man. It's part of this. I am a working artist. I don't have to starve. I don't have to be penniless. That is what we are talking about today. Um, and the reason I'm talking about this is because I see this pop up a lot with clients, with people that I've worked with. I've had to battle these same things as well. Here's what I'm going to do before we jump in. If this is your first time here at the show, welcome. Glad to have you here. I promise it's not always like this, but the best way that you can help the show is on this channel. I help people get their work done, their creative work done, get it to their audience, get it to market so they can start getting some income and revenue coming in for their work. The best way that you can do that is by going over and visiting the Working Creatives community, which is hosted over on the school platform. You can check it out over there. The link is below in the description for this video. You can join the hundreds of other people that are working to get their stuff done and get it out there into the world so they can start getting paid for their creative work. So, here is why this really resonated with me today. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to share this with you. A lot of the concepts I'm going to be talking about today actually resonate. They're from Real Artists Don't Starve by Jeff Goins. I would highly recommend that book. It is a quick read and a great read for you. But a lot of the concepts I'm going to be talking about today are stuff that Jeff Goins unpacks in his book. Here's the thing that happens. Many creatives get this idea of going, well, if I'm going to be a creative in my life, then that just means I am destined to be poor for the rest of my life, and that's just not the case. And I think that I want to unpack just a little bit of why you might have that mindset and why that mindset is actually not doing you any justice. As a matter of fact, it's you're kind of doing a little bit of self sabotage when you do that. Um, and it can usually come because it's usually coming from parents with good intentions, and particularly over the last several decades. I just want to point this out. This is sort of a broader socioeconomic thing that I'm going to be talking about, but there are a lot of parents, particularly post World War II, so when you get into baby boomer generation, that they were exposed to a different economic setting, and in that different economic setting, there were certain things that seemed to be reliable. Hey, you can go to school, you get a job, and then you get a job that you can last in for several decades, and you get a retirement. You can, it can be a job that can help you to put a roof over your head, to put food on the table, to pay the bills, and then you can get married and have kids, and then you can retire and live comfortably, right? And it's not to say that any of those concepts are good. As a matter of fact, I'm huge for that. Like, yes, I love people getting married and having babies. Lots of babies. Yes, please, more of that, right? But I think that there was an economic model that was put out there by lots of people with good intentions, that they were exposed to an economic system which made them go, hold on a second, this is safe, this is steady, this is a sure thing. If you do this, you will get X, Y, and Z result. And I think that whenever anybody was talking about, like, you know what, I feel like I want to be creative. Um, Now, kids will get really encouraged with being creative when they're kids, right? When they're painting or drawing or making music or dancing or being in plays as kids, like, parents absolutely love it. They go absolutely gaga over this stuff. But then as they get older, and then you start feeling, if you've started having this pull and this thing that's inside of you, which I believe is God is inside of you, that is pulling you towards this direction to do this as a vocation, as a living for yourself, it can really scare the heck out of these parents to go, wait a minute, that we're exposed to this former economic system, which is going, wait a minute, you need to be working for a company or corporation or whatever that is. Have a settled thing where you're going to be showing up, 9 to 5, 5 days a week. Have vacations, 2 weeks out of the year. You get your weekends off, holidays off. That's what you need to be doing. And so, whenever you're trying to do something that would stray from what that model is, you would have parents that are going, no, 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 don't do that. Don't do that because you're going to jettison everything. It's too risky. You'll never get consistent work. It's all out there. Here's the argument that I want to put to that. We are now entering a stage, particularly here, that started becoming revealed in the later part of the later part of the 20th century, and definitely in the beginning of this 21st century, that you start to realize that what those parents were basing that on was sort of an unrealistic, unsustainable model that now does not exist anymore, right? There is no such thing as a stable job or a stable company that you get to stay with and that it stays forever, right? There's not even guarantees that you'll be in jobs 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years from now, right? So the idea of like going, well, you want to get yourself a steady job and steady work, that doesn't even exist, right? So those arguments that are well meaning and trying to save you stuff, it's based on a model that just, first of all, it was already a little bit flimsy to begin with, and now we're seeing, as we're in the 21st century, it definitely does not exist, right? Now the thing is because many people have had these tapes that have been coming from the last decades of going, well, if you pursue creative stuff, you're never going to find uh, regular work, or you won't find ways to sustain this. It's a miserable life. You'll be poor for the rest of your life. And you keep getting told this time and time and time again from people that worked in that unsustainable model to begin with. And because you're bombarded with it, you start replaying these tapes for yourself over and over and over again, and you start accepting them as truth. And you start almost creating a version of self fulfilling prophecy for yourself. Whenever things start going wrong, or if you don't get a job, or if certain things don't work out, you just go, oh, they must be right. And we continue sort of that mental loop, speaking to ourselves. What was I thinking? How I can do this? But here's the thing, that also tries to create art, that also starts to put art and creativity and the things that are produced through creative skills, it starts to put it in a whole other realm. And I have to put this challenge out to you, that art points towards beauty. It points towards expressing of the human condition and the human journey. And for me, which is what I've shared here on this channel before, it also points towards, ultimately, if done correctly, it points towards God, right? Art can serve as a way through music, dance, painting, film, literature, whatever that is, it can also point towards our Creator, right? So there is a purpose to it. And it can fill us with moments of seeing stories or hearing things that reflect part of the human condition, that can stir us to hope, encouragement, heroism, things where we have to like take steps forward and go, you know what, I feel inspired really to do this because of this piece of work or literature or film or something that I saw, right? And it can also fill us with beauty, with having this artwork through us, with what God has given us, and some of the most incredible, beautiful things that have been put on this planet by through human hands, right? From God's inspiration has come through that. And could you imagine what a world would be like without those things? So the fact is that people like trying to say, well, just get a safe thing where you're just doing, I know you may have a ho-hum job or whatever, but at what cost? At not bringing that beauty and that, those other glorious things into the world? Do you know what an incredibly boring world this would be without that stuff? And so that's the call, is to say, well, don't answer that call to try and bring that beauty into the world. Uh, Aim for something less. Aim for something fight against all of that instinct that's drawing you. I will say this: if there's something that's going on where you feel like you're being drawn by, motivated by fame, fortune, people will look at me, power, all of this stuff. Maybe you've got your things out of order here for you. But come on, there's some incredible stuff that has to be out there. Now, here's the thing with this: The beauty part of this is fantastic, but I want to also really hit on this too in this episode. Yes, striving for this, but we also have to get out of the mindset, especially when we start getting to the starving artist thing. There's another part of this of how to combat this. Well, I'm a poor starving artist. The fact is that you as a creative now more than ever, particularly in the 21st century, you've got to learn how to do things business wise and monetization wise with your art, right? This cannot just be arts for art's sake. This has to be the fact of what you have and what you're providing does have value and does mean something to other people, where they go, you know what, that is actually something else. I am definitely willing to pay for that so that you can do more of that, or may I have your art, or may I have versions of this so that I can enjoy. There is a value exchange that happens in that. But you as a creative, you have to start learning how to do the business and the monetization side of this. You can no longer, particularly in the 21st century, go, well, I'm just an artist and then somebody else takes care of the business side of it. That was definitely true 10, 15, 20 years ago and over for several decades before that. But that's not the case now, right? We've got to get into a point, we've got to get to a place where we're starting to learn it. And if we don't know it, we have to start understanding how it works. And there are tools that are available to help you to do this. Even with some of the AI models or AI agents that are out there right now, you could literally go through this and say, hey, I'm I'm a painter, right? And I'm looking to do this as a living and try to monetize my art, but I need to understand the business aspects of stuff. How do I create a budget for myself or a business account for myself? Or how do I handle taxes so that I'm not getting, stung at the end of the year, or that I'm knowing what are the costs of advertising and marketing and what that budget is, right? And you can put this into certain AI models right now and walk through it and say, "Hey, listen, teach this to me on like a junior high school level so that I can understand this at your speed to do this." But you have to understand how to do this, ladies and gentlemen, because the other side of this too is that if you're not learning how to do the business side of this, or the monetization side of this, or the marketing side of this, you're going to fall into a trap. And this will lead you to becoming a poor, you'll do the self-fulfilling prophecy of being, I'm just a poor, starving artist. If you don't learn to do this stuff and learn to bring it out there, it's no better than just saying, well, I just want to do this in my garage. I just want to do this in my garage and look at the incredible stuff that I'm building in the garage. Isn't it great? It's great. The fact is, you have to ultimately get your stuff out of the garage and get it road tested, because that's the only way that you're going to know what is working and what resonates with what people may be interested in paying for and see the value for. You have to road test it, because when you road test your art and you put it out there, you're doing a couple of things. You're seeing what's working and you're seeing what's not working. All right. And then you're seeing who is interested, who's not interested. And that's okay if they don't like it. It means you get to go back and test and rebuild and do other things and then get it back out on the road again. This isn't about going out and then having a failure and going, well, then that's it. The only way that you move forward with your art is by testing it again and again and again and creating again and again and again. And just going, all right, that didn't take, let's go again. All right, let's try this. And you have to adjust and to not take it as a personal rejection, but to realize that this is also part of the process as you are creating. Okay? That's the thing that's going to do this. And you have to start embracing this. This is why I have the title of this episode as it is. You have to start believing in this and you have to start stating it. You have to stop saying phrases like, well, I'm just a poor, starving artist. You need to get those words out of your mouth. Because when you start putting those words in your mouth, you start also putting that's also going into your brain, and you start acting as if. You also need to start acting as if in the opposite direction. You need to be claiming, I am a working artist. I am a working creative. I am working on generating income and revenue with my art. You need to be saying this and claiming this and then acting on it every single day. Those are the basic fundamentals that you need at a beginner's level, all right? You have to understand this. and saying this again. This is not about a fake it till you make it. This is literally a believe it till you see it. I've seen this happen with other people. Roger Avery, who was a producer and writer on with Quentin Tarantino for Pulp Fiction and a whole bunch of other things that they worked on together. But he used to talk about it of just like, yeah, I'm a filmmaker. Yeah, I'm a director. He was doing this while he was still working at the video store down in Manhattan Beach with Quentin Tarantino. And all these guys would do is they just watch videos and they hadn't made anything yet, but he would always say, yeah, I'm a director. I'm a filmmaker, until he was finally getting his hands on like 16 millimeter cameras and doing sort of like little independent projects, but he was stating it. And you have to state that for yourself. I am a working creative. I am a working artist. I am working on generating income and revenue for me. This isn't a new age stuff. This is about putting a line in the sand and claiming it. And even if you're showing up and just doing a little bit of work today, you are that. You are a working creative. So I hope that this resonates with you today. The best way that you can do this is getting around other people. And if you want to be on that path to being a working creative and to be learning the skills in order to get it done and get it to your audience and start generating income and revenue, the best way that you can do this is by heading over to the Working Creatives community over on the School platform. Find the link down below. Join us over there, okay? So you can join us as being a working creative and getting your stuff done, okay? Really glad that you guys joined us. Thank you so much for being here. I'm usually live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If I'm not going to be live, then I'll have a pre-recorded video on that day. But please, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification button so that you find out when I'm going live on these things. It really does help the channel. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you on the next episode. Onwards, upwards, and God bless. Bye-bye.